why don't you bring us into this leak? I don't want to say too much going into it. You know,
we'll give our normal disclaimer. We normally don't talk about leaks unless they're very widely being discussed, right?
Yep. And this is being covered pretty widely.
This is being covered pretty widely. If you don't want to hear leak related topics, I don't know, skip forward probably 10 minutes, maybe 15. We'll see how long we talk about this because there's a lot to go into.
What it's about, we're very passionate about. And
it's something we've discussed before. So just to get right into it, it looks like the source code leaked from a Switch development console or something for a Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulator for the Switch Online, potentially. And
that's what we're looking at here.
There was a bunch of ROMs for a bunch of games in there, which we're not going to get into the full list. And there was some speculation over, you know, just because they tested certain. This is basically a list of games that they tested within the emulator. And so just because they tested a game in the emulator doesn't mean they plan to offer it.
Right.
In the case of simulating like a link cable, it's very clear that they had screenshots from Pokemon games. So this leads me on a huge sort of speculative path in my mind. And it's very interesting that they did this because they emulated the link cable experience and they also emulated the N64 transfer pack experience. There's code for that in the N64 emulator.
I want to be surprised by these types of things, but it just only seems logical.
So when you start putting the pieces together with that and thinking about, okay, are they actually going to start offering Pokemon games? Are they actually going to put Golden Sun on the Switch Online? I really want to temper my excitement over this because obviously these are make or break things that we're talking about here. For me, those two franchises being, you know, the most important of what I saw, not to mention there was stuff like Mario Kart, there was stuff like other Mario sports games, Mario Golf, some incredible Game Boy titles on the list. So yeah, I mean, that's just it, Sterling. They leaked this source code. It's possible this may be something that they're announcing soon. We didn't really, I sent you this. We didn't really have a chance to talk about it too much during the week. I'm interested to get your thoughts and your reaction. If you have any questions about what was found, because I don't know if you went through it in quite as much as I did.
You were more in the know about this. I hadn't really heard much, but I started seeing things pop up as soon as you mentioned it to me.
Yeah, it's big news for sure.
No, I think we may have even said on here that the logical next, pick for the expansion pack. Oh, did I?
You specifically were thinking Game Boy.
But that's biased because I love the Game Boy.
I'm giving you credit where credit's due, man. You called this 100%.
But I feel like we did talk about it and it does make sense. And you see things like the integration with the transfer pack and all that. You want to be like, oh, so thankful that they included that, but it just only seems logical that it would be included.
Well, they're
together, they're existing in the same, almost the same application. It's on the same platform, so that kind of gives you they put Stadium on N64, they put the Pokemon games on Game Boy, and suddenly it's
bang,
like you have
boom.
Your N64 and your Game Boy.
Suddenly you have a lot of functionality that you didn't have before.
This is starting to make me speculate on something that I don't know you want to get into.
Well, here's the thing, Sterling. Like, for me, this is the most important thing of all time. I just purchased Pokemon Stadium 2 because of what we're talking about, right? Like,
absolutely.
In a big, big part. So the fact that this can be made available to the masses, I don't know what to say. Like, I just don't want to put too much hope into specific games, right? It seems likely that the Game Boy is coming, but for us to hope for certain Pokemon games and stuff like that, or any specific game, like, I just don't want to get my hopes up, because that's, you know, with the other virtual consoles, or, you know, on the Switch Online, they're not virtual consoles, so to speak, but there are games that we are disappointed that we don't have access to, you know, for all of them, in my opinion.
And I'm kind of starting to feel like, you know, like a little hamster that's, you know, getting the last bit of water out of the container, because it's like they have so much that's just sitting and they're trickling it out so slowly. And it's crazy to me.
And this is coming at a time where they're removing.
Exactly. That's where I was going with it, dude. Exactly.
Removing the 3DS and Wii U eShops is the end of that thought for everyone but you and me, because you're reading my mind. I know.
It's just, to me, that's what I was saying. The virtual console, to some capacity, you would think would come back, but could they just keep upping the subscription service? I mean, like the price?
That's where it's tough, man. You know, a lot of people, you know, really complained about the price hike as it is, because it felt like you weren't getting enough relative to the difference, right? I don't necessarily feel that way. I know you don't either, but a lot of people have voiced that concern. So
I feel more and more spoiled every time we get one thing. Like,
correct.
You know,
correct.
Mario Golf or Mario
we live
Tennis.
And breathe this stuff.
Yeah, this is just what we come from.
And we've been around to see that Nintendo doesn't necessarily take access to titles, classic retro titles, as a given anymore, whereas they once might have.
And they look down on emulation still. See, that's the thing. It's a bit of a double standard. Either allow across the board emulation, or, you know, to some capacity, or just throw up the libraries. I mean, anything, even if it's just first party.
No question. I completely agree.
I feel like what they're doing is they're probably just keeping everything under lock and key, just in case they can maximize on it. You never know when they make a film on some game that, you know, may have not been very big before. I mean, Rampage, for example, was a big game, but I remember whenever the Rampage movie came out with The Rock or whatever, suddenly the price on the NES cartridge, not crazy, but you saw it go up. And I actually think Rampage on the NES is shit. Just while we're on that topic, I don't know if I've gotten to express that.
I think you have on the podcast before. I've always only ever played it on the PS1. That was what I remember playing Rampage on.
Rampage World Tour, I think it was, or On Tour, whichever one, in the arcade and back in the day, man. Now that's good shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Rampage on NES, not ideal.
Yeah.
That's one of the games I sold off in the mini lots that I pared down.
What I'm looking at here is just the titles list of these files, and I'm seeing things like Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Bros. 3, Mario Golf, Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, Mega Man Battle Network.
And you see, that's not to cut you off, but that's what I was going to say. It's funny that the best games are all like the ones you're going to expect to be big announcements. Like the best shit on Game Boy Advance was like big title shit. Superstar Saga, Metroid Zero Mission, you know what I'm saying? Metroid Fusion.
Yep.
The Super Mario Advance games.
Yeah, Metroid, both those Metroid games are in there.
Zero Mission on Switch.
Think about it, man. WarioWare Inc., Wario Land 64, Minish Cap.
Oh, man. So many games that I've told you, like, you have to play, and you're going to have access to them, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and that's a lot of those games I just named.
I mean, this is leaks, but...
These are leaks, and that's the thing. But now that we've gotten all the pessimism and skepticism aside, we can be excited. Like, I think that we're going to hear more on this sooner than later. Now Nintendo, obviously they know that this is out. So I feel like in these situations, the best thing for these companies to do is to just go ahead and announce whatever you can, whatever you have. and that lets you control the conversation to some degree, right?
Definitely.
Because otherwise you and me are going to be sitting here every week talking about, speculation until they announce something.
I'm hoping that they put the Final Fantasy Legend games on the Game Boy. Now that might be a bit of a far cry, but I hope they put those games on. Well, they won't, because they're on that collection that came out, the Mana collection.
Think about this, Sterling.
Access is there. Hey, that's cool. But Link's Awakening, would love the world to be able to play Link's Awakening. I mean, that's one of the best Zelda games, and it's on Game Boy.
So think about something. We have currently the ability to export Pokemon from the Virtual Console games on 3DS from generations 1 and 2 all the way forward into Home.
Yeah, and I've done it. I did a lot of 3DS cartridge dumping and used, Pokemon Bank.
Yep. And then it's Poke Transport to get them off the Virtual Console games.
Yep.
So do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, something you've talked about before, if I'm not mistaken. Finally having the backwards compatibility to the beginning,
all the way back, which we technically do right now. If you have a 3DS and these Virtual Console games, you can. So it's not giving
not exclusively
there's no new exclusive functionality that we get out of this, but it brings it to everyone. Now anyone who is a Switch owner, you don't need a 3DS to be able to get these things. And
like you're caught up.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Aside from putting in the footwork, you're caught up to the idea being a realization.
Absolutely. So that the ability to potentially take Pokemon out of this thing into Home, that's where you really get into like fantasy land for me.
Oh, I mean, it's exciting.
It's exciting. It's not like, it's hard for me to envision that actually taking place in reality anytime in the near future. I'm a bit skeptical if they can't even get Arceus and Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl home support in a timely manner, which I know they're working on it, but it makes me skeptical that they're going to prioritize this.
Do we know that they're working on it?
They said that support for both games is coming in 2022. That's all they've said, but they have said that. And
I didn't even know we had confirmation, to be honest with you.
And in recent updates to both games, there is data from each other game. Like there's data for Pokemon from Arceus in Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and vice versa. Tags
like
for
in
where they're from and
preparation.
stuff.
Obviously, the lists are already set in stone. So
so that is supposedly a thing. How it exactly works with Arceus is going to be interesting to me because it's not a 1-to-1 with a lot of different things in that game, right? Like,
yeah,
moveset wise, Pokemon wise, obviously, but the thought of being able to get something like Sneasel or Basculegion or Ursaluna, one of these like really cool Hisuian Pokemon, into Home is like exciting. And if they really add those into Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, that would be incredible too. Even though I don't know, I mean, it doesn't seem likely that they would do that.
That doesn't seem likely.
It doesn't seem likely.
Unless if you put it into Home, where's it going to go?
That's the problem, right?
Probably the next Legends game.
Maybe.
I mean, that's the only
which
thing
they
that
said
makes
there is
sense
going to
me.
be more. Like,
yeah,
confirmed.
I mean, you knew that. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
But that would be the only use, I think, for Home with the Hisuian ones, is just to move them forward to whatever other Legends game comes out.
Unless they add, compatibility. I could see them doing it if they, assuming, from what I have understand from reading all this stuff, I went into a rabbit hole we're going long on this one topic, but it merits it because it's like so core to everything. What I was reading on when I was diving into this leak was a lot of the issues with getting home compatibility for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl is because those games are written in Unity, which is like causing the issue because Home is not Unity, I suppose.
That That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll figure it out, man.
I would love for them to.
I would love for them to figure it out. Because I really thought by now we would have had even just Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Home fully compatible. There's no reason.
The only other thing I will say, I was actually wrong. You do actually get access to something that from this integration, should it happen, because you will be able to bring things from the Pokemon Stadium games forward.
Yeah.
That is pretty incredible to think about playing, even in Ultra Sun. Well, I guess you can't go back to 3DS, but something like, I don't know. See, that's the problem, right? What can you bring Pokemon into these days? But thinking about bringing something from Stadium all the way forward is a pretty spicy, I gotta say. Even into Home. It is.
Especially, like you said, all on the Switch, all in one.
Because Stadium, in a way, was kind of the first home.
Kinda. I mean, yeah. It was our home. I mean, our home has a big building that is a Game Boy. That's just, Definitely. That's where we exist.
Game Boy Tower, Dodrio Game Boy.
We're going to be talking more about this because if this comes to fruition, I mean, I'm a Game Boy enthusiast. This is going to be a field day.
E3 is only 2 months away. Nintendo doesn't present there anymore, but they usually do a direct at the same time.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.